Today I'll be doing a review of this Figma Dawn of the Dead Flyboy action figure. A number of you who saw the Christmas haul video expressed interest in seeing this figure up close and hearing some information about it, so I figured I'll go ahead and just do a video review. And this will actually be one of the first times I've actually opened this up and sort of messed around with it. I have, taken the figure out of the package at one point just to get a closer look at it, but I've never actually taken out the accessories and the swappable heads and so on and so forth. So it'll definitely be a first for me going through this, and then a first for you, some of you actually seeing this up close. But enough talking, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the packaging. And excuse the glare. There's a nice little window box design where you can see Flyboy and a number of the accessories. As you can see, one of the machetes has actually sort of fallen out a little bit, but does include a handful of really cool accessories. And certainly interesting choice here is they've included a swappable head where you can actually put the machete zombie's head on Flyboy's body. So I thought that was sort of interesting, and I wish I can get just a normal, maybe just a normal plainclothes body in the scale for that particular head, but I really don't know if that's a possibility with this Figma line. But you have a nice image of Flyboy there. You've got another right there on the top of the packaging. You've got the machete zombie there. And then on the back you have a number of different poses, and it gives you a look at the accessories and everything that's included. And there's the very bottom. So here is the little clamshell, and I really like how everything is sort of laid out. Just really nice. This is my very first figure from Figma, and I have to say I am really impressed with the quality of the packaging, and I'm a little thrown off by the scale, as it is a smaller scale, but I'm really sort of anxious to get this guy loose. And we've got some instructions here. And it comes with a little Figma bag too, I guess, for the accessories. It's a little zippered bag. It's interesting. We've got a base here. We've got a sort of a jointed arm for posing, to assist with poses. We've got a number of swappable hands. And here we have Flyboy's gun. And of course, Flyboy. We've got the machete, which actually is very cool. It has a nice metallic paint. We have some gore here that can actually be attached to the back of Flyboy's dome. We have an alternate head there, which I'll take out of the bag. Very cool. And if anyone's interested in pictures, as soon as I'm done doing this video, I will be doing a review for my website, so I'm planning on taking a ton of pictures. And there's the machete zombie's head there. We'll go ahead and get a quick close-up of Flyboy with the normal head on. Very cool. Let's go ahead and get this set up. Alright, so as you can see, I got everything out of the package and put together and looking good. Though there is one thing I'm still sort of scratching my head on, and that's this little piece here. I'm not really sure what this goes to, and the directions are of little to no help. It gives you an idea of what's included, and then how to use certain accessories and whatnot, but this little piece right here is an enigma because it's nowhere in the little directions booklet. Let's go ahead and just take a closer look at Flyboy, and I'll go ahead and take his gun off the finger because that's just a balancing act that I could really do an entire video on, and I don't want to get into it, but it does not want to stay on his finger. Let's go ahead and get this up close. As you can see, the likeness is just fantastic. The attention to detail, the paint, the sculpt, everything is there. I do wish this was a little bit bigger. And I'll do a size comparison here in a few moments with NECA's Flyboy. But, you know, I am a little disappointed in the size. This really is a small figure. As you can see, there's my hand. And I wish these were just a little bit bigger, especially for the price. You know, these are anywhere from, I think, in the upper 40s to the lower 60s, depending on where you shop. So, you know, if these were closer to NECA scale, I would be completely ecstatic. But unfortunately, they are not. But other than that, everything else is great. This is certainly a collector-oriented action figure. But I'm going to take this guy off the base, and we will take a look at the articulation that's present here. And there is just an insane wide range of movement with this particular figure. With the ankles, you've got your ball joints. The knees are actually double jointed, so just a large amount of movement there. You've got your ball joints at the upper leg there, ball joint there, ball joint there. So you've got the double joints at the wrists, elbows, ball jointed shoulders, and lastly you have the ball jointed head. And the other cool thing about this is he has a few accessories that are going to assist in making some pretty cool dynamic poses, and I'll show that here in a moment. Let's talk about the paint on this. They did just a fantastic job. Certainly, you know, one thing about Dawn of the Dead is the blood in that film is just thick and it's bright, and they've managed to just recreate the coloring of that blood on this figure. And again, I know I mentioned the paintwork on the face. It's just fantastic. They've got Flyboy's sort of cold, dead eyes that are, you know, sort of creeping into the back of his head. A little bit of blood drip on the mouth there. Of course, the bite marks. Just a fantastic job with the sculpt and the paint. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the included accessories. As I mentioned, we've got this one piece here that is just a head scratcher. If you know what this is, please chime in, leave a comment, let me know. The next thing we have here is just a section of hands. You have just a almost an endless option of different sort of hand poses. You've got the closed fists. I'm not really sure what this one is doing. It kind of looks like a bit of a gang sign, possibly, like a zombie gang sign. We have an open hand, balled fists there, and then another sort of open hand with the extended index finger. So another option for the gun pose there. Also included, we've got a few small clear pegs, and these come in handy when you're wanting to use the blood splatter, you know, headshot effect. So you've got those. And then the other item that's included, thankfully, is an extra peg for a joint at the wrist, because these joints here, they are very fragile, and when you go to remove the hand to put another one on, you'll see that peg just comes right out with the hand. And these hands you use, you'll see that you have to actually pull the peg out of the hand and plug it in there, and that is a pain in the ass. If you're watching this and you have one of these and you haven't opened it, or you're curious about getting it, one thing I would recommend doing is using a pair of pliers and grabbing it right at the ball, as opposed to grabbing it right here, because as you can see, mine's a little bit smashed in a little bit. It doesn't really affect it at all, but I made the mistake of just putting the pliers there, and the second time I switched the hand out, I used the pliers on that ball joint. Didn't cause any damage. I was really careful though, but I would say that's the best way to switch out the hands on this guy. So certainly you also have a gun. You've got the machete, which I have implanted in the machete zombie's head. I mentioned you have the blood splatter there, and I have that stuck on the alternative Flyboy head. And the last thing that's included is this really nice base, really tight joints there, and I'm guessing these are included with all the Figma figures. So if you have a character like Spider-Man or anything like that, that's jumping in the air, you can actually use this to sort of recreate that. This is actually really cool, and I wish that more toy companies would incorporate this sort of a base into their figures, especially like Diamond Select Toys, who are doing a lot of, you know, superheroes like Spider-Man, and I think recently they did Captain Marvel, characters that would be jumping around or flying, and it would be nice to have a base like this where you can actually sort of, you know, simulate that action. So I'm really impressed with this base. Just a really cool base with lots of options for moving it around, and you're going to be able to get a lot of cool poses out of any figure if you have a base like this. So let's go ahead and look at some of the posing options we have with Flyboy. So one thing that's mentioned in the instruction booklet is you can actually take that peg out and you can put a new peg in, and then you can put that peg in the blood and sort of make it look like he's getting his arm blown off. With the option of this display base, you can really sort of make it look like he is kind of flailing backwards, like his arm has really just been shot off. So I absolutely love the articulation, and in the base, just them working together, you're able to get just a handful of dynamic poses out of this particular figure. Now, one other thing we can do is just sort of recreate the end of the movie with the other head sculpt. So at the end of the film, you know, Flyboy unfortunately is dispatched and falls into a bunch of boxes, and you can now sort of recreate that look. And man, this is just such a cool figure. It's just a super nerd and a lover, a longtime lover of Dawn of the Dead. I love any collectibles geared towards the film. We don't get a lot of them. You know, NECA certainly was at a point where they were including a Dawn of the Dead figure with almost each series of, you know, the earlier Cult Classics line. You had the Hare Krishna zombie, you had the airport zombie, and then you had Flyboy. And they originally were going to do a few more, but I guess just there wasn't, for some reason, I guess the cost of sculpting these figures versus how many they were selling, I guess they just couldn't justify doing more figures, which is very unfortunate, because I think Dawn of the Dead is just a masterpiece. It's one of the best horror films ever created, and it's a shame that we don't get more action figures based on those amazing characters that Romero created. As you can see, there is definitely a big difference in the scale. And now, which one is better? In my opinion, you know, they both have amazing likenesses. They're both great figures. Depending on what your preference is, you know, if you're just sort of a fan of the NECA scale, certainly you're going to want to go with their Flyboy, because this one is an amazing figure. Only one of the best that the Cult Epics line actually produced. Now, as far as sculpt, paint, articulation, accessories, clearly Figma is the winner of this round. They did just a great job. The only real issue I have with this guy, it's just the scale. I wish he was a bit bigger. I think if this was bigger, it would be a perfect 10. On its own merits, though, just not really comparing it to the scale of most of my action figures, I would say this is a solid collectible. It's a must-own for fans of Dawn of the Dead. So if you're watching this, he's definitely worth picking up. A little more expensive than I'm used to paying for figures. Well, I mean, if we're going to be technical about it, my girlfriend paid for it, not me. But still, it's something that I actually had on my wish list. It was a very big surprise for me, too, because I had it on my wish list. I did not think anyone was going to buy it for me, though. But it was a fantastic surprise. I think one of my favorite Christmas presents ever. And the funny thing about this is she actually got me this Flyboy figure in 2014, but the very first Christmas that we spent together, you know, as a couple, she actually purchased me the NECA Flyboy. Not this one here. She didn't realize I already had Flyboy. She didn't realize, exactly how nerdy I was, I guess. So, but she actually had bought me a Flyboy our very first Christmas. So I thought it was kind of funny. Things sort of came full circle in a really weird, nerdy way. But as always, guys, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or anything like that, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them about this particular figure. And if you're interested, hopefully by the time you're watching this video, if you look down below in the more info section, I should have a link to my website, and I should have a text review with just a ton of pictures sort of displaying some of the poses you can actually get out of this particular figure. So as soon as I'm done filming this, I'm going to take those pictures and I'm going to try and get that post completed pretty soon. So be sure to check that out if you're interested, and if you've yet to do so, please subscribe.